This is a CS Plus production brought to you by Baldwin Wallace University.
Welcome to the next part of our tech camp where we created a music player using HTML and CSS. So it's great. We got a basic music player here, but it's not actually playing any music. So now we're going to take a look at how we could use JavaScript to play some songs we created from a previous tech camp. So I got a few songs that I created, but you can create them using Sonic Pi, and I encourage you to check out our previous tech camp to see how to do that. But if you'd like to get some songs that CS Plus created, there's a URL up here. It's mops.bw.edu/CS Plus/songs.zip. And if you go ahead and put that URL in and hit enter, you should see that zip file pop up, and then you can save that. Once you save that, what you want to do is you want to unzip that file, and you'll see 3 wave songs in there. They're fairly short, but it's just to kind of get the feel of how we can make a music player. But you want to put those in the same location, the same folder as your music player.html file. Okay. So for me, what this looks like is I just have those 3 wave files in the same location. So here, if I were to bring this over here, you can see that this is on my desktop. I have my music player.html there, and then 3 song files there. So what we want to do first is we just kind of want to get just get a little familiar with how we can actually do this. So there's a couple of things that we'll need to add to our basic page that we have now. So let's go ahead and do that. So just like how we can add style to our HTML document, we can actually add code that can really make it come to life and do things for us. So underneath this style tag, I'm going to add something called a script tag. Now, a script tag allows us to add different type of coding elements to our web page, and here we're going to add in JavaScript. And so JavaScript really makes our web page come to life. So it can do things for us, whether we click on a button or just kind of check on things for us, and it can also play music for us. So we're gonna do that here in the camp. So the first thing I want to do is just get the web page just to play a basic song, and one of the songs that we have. So if I look at what I have as far as the songs downloaded, you'll see that we have a relax.wave, a fast like c.wave, and a mystery API.wave file. Okay, so these are all stored as wave files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just see if I can just get to play one. Now the way this works is when we type in this code for JavaScript, we're going to try to divide our code into different functions, because anytime we do something on our web page, we want to call a function in our code. So I'm going to create a function, and I'm just going to call it play song. And we can pass something into this function, so a value or something to tell it what to play. But for now, we're just going to have it play the same song. So I'm going to do that open close curly brace just like we did with their CSS here in the previous part of the tech camp. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an audio object using that file name that I had from that I downloaded from that zip. So I'm going to do a var audio equals new audio. I got to use a capital A here. And then here I specify the file name. So I'm going to do relax.wave. Now I'm going to add a semicolon at the end. So this is just one of the songs. So I'm not allowing the user to pick a song yet. I'm just kind of hard coding this song in here for now. And now I'm going to do audio.play. It's important to add the semicolon here. It may seem kind of odd that we need to do this and we need to do it in our CSS code. It's just something that's required for now when programming. And so I'm actually going to turn up the volume just so you can kind of hear the song play when I actually play it. But before we do that, I actually need to have something that I click on that will call this function. And so just to kind of get the hang of it, I'm going to add a button tag here. And when I add that button, I'm going to type in play. But if I just add this on there by itself, it won't do anything. I need to tell it, hey, when somebody clicks on this, use this function. And so the way that this works is we add different event handlers in our code. So I'm going to do on click. So as soon as somebody clicks on this, I'm going to put an equal and then a double quote. And then look what the IDE is trying to help me out. Visual Studio Code is trying to help me out here. And I'm going to type in play song. And I'll do that open, close parenthesis. I don't need a semicolon here. Okay. So I'm going to save that, go back over here and refresh. And then hopefully, once I hit play, we get the music to play. Now I'm going to refresh this page just to stop it. I'm actually going to turn the volume down on my computer. That may have been a little bit loud in the video. But now we actually have it playing a song. All right, so now that we got that button working and we could play a song, I don't know about you, but the button looks kind of bland. So I want to style it a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is, if we take a look here, we got that button tag. Well, we can just use that in our CSS as our selector. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to type in button here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to make this maybe a little bit bigger and the text to be a little bit bigger. So I can do that by specifying the font size. Maybe I'll try doing 14-point font. And part of this is just experimenting. So I'm going to save that, jump back over here, refresh. That looks a little bit better. It's a little bit bigger. I also don't like that outset border necessarily. So I'm going to change that border radius. I'm going to change that border to be a solid, maybe 1 pixel. And I kind of want to have this follow like a similar theme that we have here. So I'm going to do a solid 1 pixel, and I'm going to do that RGB 200, 200, 200. Okay, so if I save that and I go back, I refresh, you notice that it gets a little bit tighter there. I'm also going to change the background color to be the same as my web page. And so here, if I type in the RGB, I can already see the values here that I selected. I'm going to do that 50, 50, 50. And likewise, I'll do the color, the text color, to be the RGB 200, 200, 200. Okay, so the border and the text is going to have the same color. The background is going to kind of match here. It's not going to pop too much right now, but if I refresh that, kind of see that there. I'm going to add some padding in here too. 25 pixels. I'll space it out so we can see it's more centered there. And a play button typically isn't square, but a play button is typically round. So we already saw in the past part of the tech camp how we can round off these corners. We're going to kind of do the same thing here, but just kind of show you how this works. We'll do it incrementally. So I'm just going to do 10%. So before we kind of mess around with that percent value, watch what happens. So if I do 10% and go back and refresh, it starts to round off. As I increase this, I can go 20. This rounds off some more. I'm going to jump it up to maybe 35. And you'll kind of see what we're doing here once I do that. Notice how it really rounds off. Well, if we actually get that to jump up to 50%, we'll actually get this to be kind of like a circle. Okay. So now that we have our play button, I want to add just a little bit more style to it. So if I go to like hover over it or to click on it, nothing really, I don't see any like style change on there. So what I want to do is we can actually add some pseudo classes to our styles. So on that button, I'm going to say, look, if I hover over that button, I want it to change the way it looks. And so one of the ways we could do this is we can change a bunch of different styles. I'm going to copy this background color and color. And I'm going to paste it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to inverse the styles. So I'm going to take that color, and then that will the background color will become the text, and then I'm going to take what was the text and have that become the background color. And so once we do that, and I save that, if I go back here and I refresh, watch what happens when I hover over it. Kind of get this inverse feel. And then of course if I click on it, it plays our song. So I'm going to refresh that just to stop the music. So now that we got our audio playing, the next thing we want to do is add the ability to actually stop the song and maybe start a different one. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another function here that will allow us to pause a song. So before we do that, I'm actually going to take this var audio equals new audio, and I'm going to cut that and then move that outside our function. And I'm going to get rid of this blank line here. The reason I'm doing that is because we're going to add another function. And if I just declare this inside the play song function, then only the play song function can see it. That's something that we call scope. So in order for me to see it in the pause song, I need to have it declared outside. So by default, when the user presses play, we'll play relax.wave. And so there I'm going to do an audio.pause. And now that I have that, I just need to add a button that will actually call that function. And so I'm going to take the button I have down here, I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to add a pause. And just like how we have play song there, I'm going to add pause song. And so if I save that, let's go ahead and test that out, and hopefully it'll work. I'm going to refresh. I see my pause, and I'm going to hit play. Hear the song come on and hit pause, and that's good. The song stops. Now, the last thing that we want to add to this is, well, we just play relax.wave, and that's probably not the only song that we want to play. We want to be able to add these other ones here too. So the song that we might want to add the way we want to add a song here, we probably want to be able to add or click on one of these links and then add that as a song that we're currently playing. So let's go ahead and we're going to add a new field here. We want to be able to add something that says what we're currently playing. So I'm going to add a new H3, and I'll do currently playing. And in that currently playing, I'm going to add a span tag. And a span tag is kind of like the div tag that we used before, but it doesn't go from one edge to the other edge, kind of like our green box here. It just kind of includes just enough for the text to fit in. So I'm going to give that span tag an ID, and I'm going to call it current song. I'm just going to do it all one word, no spaces or anything like that. And what we'll do is we'll use that ID to update this for the new song that we're playing. Now, just like how we added an on-click event for our button here, we can do the same thing with this list item. So I'm going to add in here an on-click. And when I do an on-click here, I want to call a function, but we don't have it yet. So I'm going to create that function up here. And I'm going to call it update song. Now this function is going to be a little bit different. Before we didn't pass any values in, but here we actually want to pass in some values. So I'm going to pass in the title of the song and then the file name. So the file name is going to be what we have here, but the title is what we want to show here to what's currently playing. Now by default, we're playing coding relaxation. So I'm going to type that in here because that's just what we have by default. But anytime they click on a song in the album, we want to update it. So even though this is what it is by default, they could switch down to one of these and then switch back. So we still need to put some code in here. So I'm going to do update song. And then in parentheses, I need to pass the title and the file name. Now, the thing is that I already used double quotes here. So I'm going to use single quotes to pass in the title. And you can give these any titles you want. And then I'm going to put a comma here and then specify the file. And so for the file, it's just going to be that relax.wave. Okay, so that's what our code should look like when we're done. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to copy that on click. So I'm going to do this a couple times. And I'm going to paste that into each of these li tags. You want to make sure that greater than sign is after that double quote. Okay, but it's got to be there. And I'm going to paste it here too. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger just so we can kind of fit everything on the screen. So anywhere where I see is coding relaxation, I'm just going to change that with mystery API. And then I'll do this as fast, like C++. And then for the file names, the mystery API is just called mystery API.wave. And then for the fast like C++, we'll just do fast like C. And that's the name of the file name. And so let's give this a whirl. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to jump back here and then refresh. So we got currently playing coding relaxation. I'm going to play that. Just make sure that still works. And it does. And I'll do pause song. Now I'm going to click on mystery API. And nothing happens yet because we actually didn't code it within our function. So let's go ahead and add that code in here. So the first thing that we want to do is let's just work on updating this title here. So in order to do that, I'm going to do a document.get element by ID. Now make sure you have a capital E there, a capital B, and then a capital I. So what this does is allows JavaScript to refer to elements within our HTML document. And so here I got this ID equals current song. So I'm going to do .current song. And what I'm going to change in here is the inner HTML. So I'm going to do .inner. And you'll notice that the Visual Studio Code tries to help us out here. Inner HTML. And I'm going to set that equal to title. And I only want to test this part out. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to jump back, refresh. And I'm just going to try clicking on one of these, see if it updates. And there it is. I got mystery API, fast like C++, and I can jump between each of these songs I have now. Now the other thing is that that's great. We can update that title, but it's not actually going to update our song. So what we could do is we could replace our audio object here with the new audio. So I'm going to do audio equals new audio. And then I'll just pass in the file name. So that file name we get sent to us. So here I send relax wave. That comes in here. I create my audio object from that. Same thing for mystery API wave. That gets passed here. And then that gets put in there as well. Once we have the audio working, we could just reuse our play song method here. So anytime we click on one of these, it will automatically play it. So let's save that and go back and give it a try. So I'm going to refresh this, make sure it still plays that coding relaxation. I'm going to hit play. We hear the songs, that's good. I hit pause. And then now I'm going to try our mystery API. So I'm going to click on that. That's good, so that plays. I'm going to hit pause to stop it. And I'm going to click on Fast Like C++. And that plays as well. Now from this, we create a very basic music player. We have a title in there. We have a little description about our music player. We got the available songs that we have to play. And then we add some control buttons. So if somebody ever wants to pause a song, they can do that. And then they can restart it with play. We also add some styling to this so we can see them as we hover over them. They kind of come alive. And if we wanted to add some more functionality to this, we could use JavaScript to create a music queue where we could essentially create a playlist and just kind of add one song after another. So we hope you enjoyed this tech camp where we took some music and we created a web-based player. Something like you would see in Spotify or Pandora is kind of the same concept. We can stylize these buttons. We could do more. We can even include button images too. So if we actually want to have a play image or a pause image, we could also have images for albums and include multiple albums in there. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. So we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you join with us on our next tech camp.